You're listening to Family Business with Daphne. Thanks so much for joining us on this amazing adventure of learning and growing together. I have been on Facebook and LinkedIn and all of these different social media platforms, and I think I might just start calling everyone my family business peeps. I'm not sure yet. I'm still considering that one. But today I have another amazing family business set of owners, a husband and wife team, Paul and Vicki Graff of Twin Beans Coffee Company. Of course, we're broadcasting from Twin Falls, and my brain wants to do the Twin Falls. And they're here with us today to tell us about their business and how they got started and what they like about it, and perhaps some pitfalls that we all might avoid. So I'm going to get this started right away because I'm excited. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Do you like family business?
Parts of it.
Yeah, there's some really good parts of it, and there's some parts that are hard.
Yeah. What are the good parts of it?
Family.
Mm-hmm.
Building those relationships.
Yeah. How many children do you have?
8.
8 children. Tell me their ages.
Oh, dear. 25, 23, 21, 18,
16.
16, 14, 12, and 8.
That's amazing. And are they all in the family business? Are they all participating?
14 on up do.
Mm-hmm.
The 12-year-old and the 8-year-old are a little young, but we've made a space upstairs in our office area just for them.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so you've got, and I want to get back to that because that's amazing. So you've got 8 children. You've got 2 locations.
That's right.
And is everyone spread out between both locations, or are they all centered? Is there a home base? How do you make that work?
Well, our downtown shop I'd say, was our home base. That's the larger facility where we have our kitchen, and it has a place for everybody upstairs as well. But I would say that we have, Josh has worked more at our double shot once we opened it, but Sarah, she's our number 3 child. She's our main barista down at our downtown shop. And Josh is going to engineering school, so he's kind of phasing out of the engineering side, or the barista side of the business.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, let's take a step back. What are you in the business of doing? So I understand it, but I like to ask that question because I don't want people to assume. What are you in the business of doing?
Probably the best way to put it is that, well, we roast coffee. We source coffee and roast it, and then we brew coffee. We brew espresso. We make latte drinks, things like that. We sell equipment to do those things. So that's all kind of wrapped around it. But kind of our motto is world-class coffee with hometown hospitality.
Oh, I love that. Is that typical of the industry to roast your own coffee?
I would say not, but it is becoming more common. In the larger cities like Portland or Seattle, you'll have several micro roasters that are involved. But typically, you'll have a coffee shop that sources somebody who understands roasting and what they're doing to bring that coffee in, and you'll buy that from the roaster. But we actually started the other way around. We started roasting and then selling at the farmer's market here in Twin. And over time, I think it was the second year, we had several customers just asking us, when are you going to open a coffee shop? When are you going to open a coffee shop? And we did that, I think it was our second year after we were at farmer's market. And it was just a little coffee bar in the back of the old Crowley's soda fountain. The bakehouse had the restaurant, and he didn't really want to do coffee, but he asked us if we would be interested in opening a coffee bar in the back of his restaurant. And then at some point, I think it was about a year and a half later, he ended up closing. So we had to choose whether to expand and take over everything, or just stay as a coffee shop, or actually close, because the little coffee bar wouldn't have been able to support that. So we ended up taking over the whole restaurant, and now we're in the restaurant business.
Now, Vicki, was coffee your first choice too?
This wasn't my choice at all.
Oh, interesting. Well, tell me about that.
This was Paul's idea. You know, to me, coffee was coffee until he gave me a cup of, fresh roasted coffee, and I suddenly realized there was a difference. And nobody really knows that difference until they taste it. It's the difference between homemade bread and bread you get in the store. There's a true difference. But with the business, it took me, once I realized he was going to go forward with, this coffee business, it took me a little while to figure out where my place was going to be in the business. I finally found out what I could do. I'm not a barista. I know how to make my own drink, but that's about it. I stay out from behind the counter, and I do the back room with stuff, the paperwork, the payroll, the scheduling, that kind of thing.
And any tips for other spouses in that situation where they're the ones, someone is presenting the idea to them and they have to jump on board? How did you go through that? Any tips or tricks?
Well, I think the best thing was that Paul didn't say, okay, I'm now the coffee man, you're the coffee man's wife, here's your job. He didn't try that. He just said, this is what I'm going to do. And I knew, he already had a couple of the daughters on board. And
good marketing.
Yes. They love their daddy. And I just looked for what I could do to be a part of it.
And so your role, as you stated, was the back office, doing the paperwork, making sure the business is running operationally, would you say?
Yes.
But who's doing this? Who's overseeing the staff?
The staff is overseen by our oldest daughter, Samantha. She's our manager.
Okay.
And then under her, we have a couple of employees that, kind of that trickle-down thing going on there.
Now, was she interested in the coffee business?
Absolutely.
Real? Okay, so she was one of the ones you marketed to.
Yeah.
It was almost as much her idea, I think.
Now, how was she able to fulfill that role? Were you always training her to be a leader? Was she in other jobs before?
I think it was the relationship. She's part of our family. Even though now she's married and has her own family, she's still a part of our family. And it wasn't that, it was expected. It's just like I wasn't given a job in this business, neither was she, but she chose to be a part of the business.
She, being the oldest child, she has some automatic managerial skills as well.
Absolutely.
That sounds very familiar.
Yep.
Was this your first business?
No, I've been independent as an investment advisor for about 20 plus years.
Interesting.
So I've been in the investment side of the world. So this was a big change for me, going from outside sales into having running a different type of business totally. I've managed offices, I've managed employees, but that's a whole different world than this kind of management. This is way different than anything I've done.
So which is harder, managing your family around business or in the corporate world?
Family around business is harder.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. What are some of the, as I've interviewed family business owners, the key issue has been communication. It's number one. Do you find that seems to be that daily hurdle that you have to overcome, or not a problem in terms of communication?
With the family or with the employees?
With the family in business.
I think with our family, there's one of the things that you have to be careful of is that since we know each other so well, we jump to conclusions that they already, we think that they already know these things, because in a normal family situation we would do that, and so sometimes we skip aspects, like skip some of the training steps or skip some of those things. And communication in that is very vital. Yeah, it really is.
That and our children, half of them are out of the house now. We have 4 of them out of the house, and they're still a part of this business. So we need to, make sure to respect their schedules. They have a life outside of our family, and we don't want to impose on that.
Absolutely. Do you have any structures like weekly family meetings or business meetings or anything like that, or is it just organic?
We actually call meetings. We have to have meetings. Usually Samantha's the one that says, you need to get this cleaned up a bit. And often it ends up being Sunday at my house.
Yeah.
We just do.
But we don't have a scheduled time.
No.
It's we probably we're getting to a point where we probably should start that process. Up to this point, it's often which fires need put out. And so we got to get together and get something figured out. But going forward, starting to plan how our steps and plan our processes going forward is becoming much more critical, especially with 2 locations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you also thinking about succession planning in terms of how you will pass this on to them? Or?
Yeah, I think there's always that thought in your head of which child might want to be interested in this business. Yeah, that always goes on, or which part of it. Back in the early days, just a few years ago, we would often think, well, we might have several coffee shops, and one might want to do this, one might want to do that, and that's not very likely. Most of the kids they like working in the shop, but running the business, that's a different world. A couple of them might, one or two might, but I would be surprised if more than one or two would like to be doing that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And they don't feel that pressure to do that.
We don't put it on them.
Yes,
No,
yes.
We don't put it on them.
That's been consistent with family business owners who are parents. They don't put the pressure on to join this family business. However, they do seem to emphasize be an entrepreneur. Do you seem to emphasize that as well, or is it open? Is it whatever it is you want to be or do?
Well, I think they see the advantage of, the flexibility and the freedom that comes from owning your own business. But of course, there's also a lot of responsibility. You don't have a back staff to take care of the paperwork, so it's all on you. But whatever our children want to do, that's we're going to support them. We're going to encourage them. We're gonna help them get there. Josh is studying engineering, and I don't know enough about engineering to know what that means. But he plans. He's picked his engineering
major.
His engineering major so that he can come back here. There's certain engineering fields where there's nothing in Twin Falls, but he wants to come back here. So that's nice.
That's very nice.
Yeah. We have three of Samantha, Sarah, Emma, and Julia all work happily, actively in the barista side and in the coffee shop. I think of those, Samantha and Julia are the ones most likely to want to continue with the coffee business. Julia was Paul's right hand at the farmer's market, and that's not an easy job. It's cold. It's first things every Saturday morning. And she was right there selling along beside him. But she's only 14, so she has to finish up some more school before we can let her spend much time in the coffee shop. Yeah.
I have to ask, how do you balance all of this with 8 children? How do you balance family business?
I don't
being
think
parents?
I don't think it would have been possible when the kids were little. I think that would have been really, for this type of a business, out of the question for what we're doing.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be able to be as involved because, homeschooling our children demands a lot of time, a lot of attention. Now that they're older, and I've been doing it for 20 years, I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing. And like I said, we have that space in our downtown shop upstairs where when I need to be in the shop and working, they can be there doing their schoolwork with me. So that's nice. And, spending time together, that's got to be a good thing.
Absolutely. What are your working hours typically, would you say? How many hours do you put in?
I don't think I even pay attention to that. A lot of what I do is on the computer, so I can do that at home or at the shop. And I don't even pay attention to how many hours I put in. It's just part of what we do.
Just ongoing.
Yeah, the shop is kind of an extension of our home. We're either there or we're at the house. Yeah.
Would you agree with that too? Have you logged your hours or thought about it? Or
No, I haven't. I know that in the early handful of days when we had both shops, we took over the restaurant in December a year ago, and then we opened Double Shot in May of last year, and so for those several months, there was not much I did outside of those two shops for a while. Working on the investment.
Was that code for you worked all the time?
Pretty much. Yeah. There was a Sunday afternoon you might fall asleep in the chair.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know the feeling. And so you've got these 2 locations. Plans to expand, or
not anytime soon. We'll look at the market and see what's available and whether we feel like that's even a possibility. But We need to have these two shops functioning well and flourishing before we even think of another possibility.
You are in sales. Is there anything unique to the fact that you are a family business in terms of the selling process? Does that attract more business, the fact that you are a family-owned and operated company?
There is a segment of the population that responds to that. They like the hometown. This is a home business, a local Twin Falls business. There are a lot of chains. Twin Falls likes. If you look at the majority of the people that go to, the big chains like
them.
I was just thinking restaurants.
I see.
Whether it's a Chili's, a Denny's, whatever. We like those because of the consistency. And that's one of the things, that's one of the dangers that you have in a small business is being inconsistent. So we try to be as consistent as possible with the product. And with a home business, a lot of those times you have to develop those yourself. So there's a lot of trial and error that goes into that. And fortunately, our customers have been very patient with us.
And they also feel an investment in our business.
They do.
They don't even hesitate to tell us what they want us to do.
Yes. I have an example of that, I think. You all walked in today with a cup of Rwanda, and I immediately said, let there be a cup of Liberia, which is where I'm from. So
Sure.
Have your customers played in terms of the products you're selling based on their requests?
Yeah, what we'll do is I'll if they ask for something in particular, I'll research it and see if it's something that's feasible, and if it's something that I think has a market, and a lot of good ideas come from that. A lot of them are my taste testers as well.
Isn't that your competitive advantage because you are a family business? Isn't it faster for you to innovate and be really close to your customers and make those changes?
Generally, that's true. Yeah,
And they
generally that's true.
they've made a lot of suggestions for our menu. And, simply, what kind of soup we're going to make. They'll let us know what they want to eat this week. It's kind of like an extended family.
That's also consistent, that your customers really are your extended family. What, though, are you doing to get that loyalty you described? Why are they loyal? Why aren't they running out to the bigger chains? There must be something you've cracked, something in your culture, in your environment, your service, something that's making them stay with you.
I'd say it's a combination of things, but it starts with quality.
Yeah.
It really starts with quality. We're on the restaurant side of it, we're one of the few businesses that makes from scratch, almost everything from scratch.
Really? I didn't know you did that.
Yeah. So our soups we make there at our downtown shop. The focaccia bread we bake there. We do buy the local bread from Great Harvest or Jim Bob's, so we do try to support locally as much as we can. But then we also, I lost my train of thought.
You roast your own meat. The salads aren't from a bag. We actually pay someone to cut up lettuce.
That's amazing.
In fact, we were just looking at one of the roasts this morning before we put it in the oven on my way here, and trying to decide whether we wanted to stay with whole pieces of garlic in there or just go with the minced garlic.
So what did you choose?
So far, they've talked me into the whole. It's easier to slice, pull it out and slice it.
The invisible they is our employees. It's not just our children that work for us. We have a married couple that works in the morning with our prep and is also helping us with our managing. We've got a lot of college and high school kids that work for us. I think we're sending 4 kids to college, aren't we?
Feels like it.
And they're like our kids. A lot of them are like our kids, and we have that kind of relationship with them.
And they're very good about giving good input on what's working, what's not working.
And we've given them the freedom to experiment in the kitchen. Sometimes it doesn't end well, but a lot of times it's amazing what they come up with. Hannah's our baker. She's 18, and she just comes up with the most amazing things. Really skilled, really talented.
Yeah, our Death by Chocolate.
Yeah.
This Thursday,
Yeah.
we'll be doing the Kahlua cake that they've developed. with the tiramisu
and
frosting. So.
They're always.
I shouldn't be saying that because there are judges out there that can't hear that.
And they're always inventing new drinks, and they like to put their own names on these drinks, and they name them after their favorite movie stars.
Fun!
Yeah.
So you've got this little creative lab going on.
They do. They're amazing.
And then you get to test it.
Yes.
And we draw our customers into that too. You can't walk into a shop where Paul is behind the counter and not hear, "Here, try this." He's constantly putting things in people's face.
Oh, I love that. Okay, then. Any thoughts about how you might extend this to the broader world then? Is that even possible as a roaster? Or does it have to be local because it's so homemade and special?
You mean as far as the coffee beans themselves?
Yeah.
Well, when you're roasting fresh, you have about a 3-week shelf life.
Okay.
You can extend that by using one-way valves, but even with one-way valves, you're going to lose some of those bright flavors that fresh roasting gives. So you could maybe be six weeks out, 8 weeks out, but really, if that coffee has been on the shelf for longer than that, I don't think you're really gonna get the best that you